All right, welcome. Let's talk about ADA compliance tools. I know, choosing the right ones can feel completely overwhelming. But what if you could build a toolkit that doesn't just find problems, but actually helps you prevent them from happening in the first place? Well, today, we're going to build that exact strategic guide, helping you create the perfect accessibility toolkit for your team. Okay, first things first, let's just get this out of the way. It is a huge misconception. You've probably seen the ads, right? The ones that promise a one-click fix. But here's the reality. There is no magic wand. No single tool you can buy is going to instantly make your website compliant. It's a process, not just a purchase. So if one tool isn't the answer, then what is? Over the next few minutes, that's exactly what we're going to figure out. I'm going to show you how to build a strategic set of tools that covers the entire compliance lifecycle. We're going to move you from that feeling of uncertainty to having a really clear plan of action. So we're going to focus on this one core idea, assembling an accessibility toolkit. You'll also hear it called a tool stack. All this means is that we're strategically choosing a suite of tools that work together, instead of just hoping one piece of software will do everything. So what is a tool stack really? Think of it like a complete ecosystem for your website. It's not just about finding errors after everything's already built. No, it's a combination of tools that supports every single stage of the game, from the initial audit and testing through actually fixing and managing all those issues, and all the way to ongoing monitoring to make sure you stay compliant. So part one of our toolkit is all about discovery. We're talking about testing and auditing tools. Their main job is to scan your website and pinpoint accessibility issues, checking them against the official Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or what we all know as WCAG. And you can see right away that different tools are built for very different needs. For a quick visual check on a single page, Wave is a fantastic, and I mean fantastic, educational tool. But if you have developers who need to bake testing right into their code, then Axe DevTools is pretty much the industry standard. And then, for huge organizations that need site-wide governance and fancy dashboards, a platform like Siteimprove is built for exactly that kind of scale. Okay, so you've found the issues. Now what? You gotta fix them. And that brings us to our second category, remediation and management tools. These are platforms designed to help you actually manage the process of fixing all those errors, and, importantly, documenting your progress along the way. And in this space, you see some really different philosophies. You've got these full-service platforms like Level Access, which offer expert-backed programs usually for big enterprises. Then you have hybrid solutions like AudioEye, which mix automation with some expert help. And finally, you have overlay-based tools like Accessibility. Now, these try to fix issues by adding a new layer of code on top of your site. I gotta tell you, these are pretty controversial. They don't fix the underlying code and can sometimes create brand new problems. They're best seen as a temporary band-aid while you work on the real permanent solution. Now, this is where the strategy gets really, really smart. See, the most effective way to fix accessibility issues is to stop them from ever happening in the first place. This is what we call shifting left, and it's all about giving your designers and your developers the right tools from the very beginning of a project. The magic word here is integration. You've got tools like React Aria that give developers pre-built accessible components they can just drop into their code. For designers, Stark is amazing. It plugs right into tools like Figma or Sketch to check for things like color contrast before a single line of code is ever written. Then you have tools like Paw1Lie that can be automated to catch new issues before they ever get released to the public. It's all about catching things early. So now that you get the categories, how in the world do you choose? Well, the thing is, the perfect toolkit is not one size fits all. What's right for you completely depends on the size, the budget, and the tech skills of your specific team. All right, let's find the right fit for you. Look, if you're a small business, your goal is simple. Catch the big, glaring issues efficiently. A simple toolkit with Wave for quick scans and a free screen reader like NVDA for some manual testing is a fantastic start. Now, for you mid-market teams trying to shift left, combining Axe DevTools for your engineers, Stark for your designers, and a monitoring tool like Pope Tech creates a really powerful integrated system. And of course, for enterprise clients, the goal is governance and scale. That really calls for a big, comprehensive platform like Siteimprove or Level Access to be your central hub for everything. Knowing which tools to get is one thing, but actually putting them to work, that's a whole other ballgame. So here's a clear 4-step plan to turn all this knowledge into real, concrete action. First step, assessment. Run both automated scans and manual tests to get a clear baseline of where you are today. This shows you the true scope of the work ahead. Second, selection. Don't just buy a tool. Trial your top choices to make sure they actually fit into how your team already works. Third is implementation. Roll out those core tools and, this is crucial, train your team on how to actually use them well. And finally, optimization. Add some monitoring to catch new issues automatically and track your progress over time with clear metrics. Okay, before we wrap up, we have to talk about what can go wrong. Because listen, having the best tools in the world won't help you one bit if you fall into these common traps. Remember, technology helps, but it is not the entire solution. And here it is. Believing that automation alone or some overlay widget can solve everything is probably the single biggest mistake you can make. These are just parts of a solution. They are not the whole solution itself. You really have to avoid these common pitfalls. Don't fall into that automation-only mindset. Remember, automated tools only catch about 30% of accessibility issues. Avoid tool sprawl, where you have so many scanners that it just creates confusing noise. We've already talked about leaning too heavily on overlays. Always, always prioritize fixing the source code. And maybe most importantly, tools without training or a process are basically useless. You have to make accessibility a real part of your team's everyday work. So, if you remember one thing from all this, let it be this. True compliance comes from a balanced approach. You have to pair the speed and efficiency of automated tools with the absolutely essential insights you get from manual testing with assistive technologies. And you've got to integrate that right-sized toolkit directly into your team's existing workflow. And that leaves us with one final thought. Building a toolkit for today is smart, but the web is always changing, isn't it? So as you build your strategy, start thinking about what's next. Things like AI-assisted testing, or the growing need for accessibility in voice, AR, and VR. The real question is your strategy built not just to comply today, but to adapt and lead tomorrow?